I want to get into the characteristics and the personality of the real Jews and the fake ones. We see a lot of literature and a lot of mixing up of words. One, the etymology of the letter J does not exist in the Greek or Hebrew alphabet. And we know that the Grecians had translated a lot of the Hebrew text into English. So if it does not exist in the Hebrew or Greek alphabet, that's one clue. Second of all, the word Jewish only came up in the 4th century. Second clue. Now we need to look at how they act, what they walk, and how they walk and what they wear, and how they look. The rounding, and you shall not round anything on your head, means that you shall not edge up around anything on your head. They took that as sideburns on the side of their face, which is where you get the Goldilocks. Have they ever been forgotten? No. We know that a lot of them are Khazarian, Polish, or German, or Russian. And those races and cultures have never been forgotten. Have they ever been brought into slavery? No. They were never slaves during the Holocaust or any times of their lives. If anything, a lot of them died off from Lyme disease. All right. And even Hitler has footage where he points out that they're the bastards, the American slave blacks are the real people. And then he points toward some of the Yemens and Middle Easterns and says those are Samaritans, Orientals. So with that being said, who are these people? Do they share? Are they kind? Do they take the riches that they have been brought into? All right, and do this of what the word says that these Hebrew and Israelites were supposed to do? The answer is no, they do not. Now, it also states that in the New Testament that the Lord stated, since you didn't know who I was, I'm going to make the world forget who you are, and you will also forget who you are. Has that happened? The answer is no. What is the etymology of Egypt? Egypt means land of slavery. You shall be brought back into another land of Egypt with yokes, by ships with yokes of iron around your neck. Were they ever on ships and had yokes of iron around their neck? The answer is no. So, who are these people? We see in Revelations 2:9 it states, I know your poverty, even though you're rich, which means spiritually rich, within the word of God that I spoke of. And I know those who call themselves Jews, but they are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. Do you or I go to a synagogue when we worship? The answer is no. We go to what we call a church. So who are these people? These people are part of the great deceit, and what prophecy means is that you sit down and you take the metaphor and the hints, and then you have to figure everything out. We're so far into prophecy in the end times that the Lord Yeshua has brought us all together and grafted in many races and tongues and nations into one, because we do believe, and just by faith, grace, and by our works and our actions, we show God that we can be as one people. Even in Revelations it says that there were many races, nations, and tongues. So I speak of no hypocrisy. And even though I'm Hebrew by bloodline, I don't want to get put in the same category as Israelites, because a lot of people have woken up to who they are and the time of fulfillment, all right, of prophecy also, which the Lord Yeshua also knew. And he said, I did not come here to destroy the law, but to fulfill it. So the only thing that I'm going to tell you is that turn your other cheek instead of an eye for an eye. Because he knew spiritually, and he's seen the future when the Father Yahweh, the great I Am, showed him the future. And he said, you're going to be upset, so turn the other cheek. Because then you're showing that you can actually be what your ancestors were. You're being humble unto the Lord. So, a lot of us know that we have down south hospitality. If you go down south, you can walk up there and invite you with something to eat. A Semitic black person is always nice, kind. Even if he's your friend, if you ain't got it, you dress and he's got it, you good. You rocking with us, you good. You ain't going with us. And my family's infamous for that. I'm infamous for that. Yo, we ain't going out with me looking like that. I'll take you to the mall and go shopping. And then I have been with too many other races and been raised by too many other races to even be prejudiced. I'm far from that. And my best friend and brother lives in England. And Dave, if you're watching this, I'm talking about you. So I'm not trying to hear that either. all right, because he is a Hebrew, all right, and he does not have to be of this, but I can tell you this right now. Hey, all right, God has blessed him spiritually enough that he can speak the word of God better than a lot of the Israelite brothers out there, because God's working with him spiritually, and that is the truth of the word. So let's get back to who these people are. These people, do they share their riches? Some of us, let's say that they're grossing $10 million a year off of what God brought them into, the fulfillment of the riches of the world, to trick them by, to show who they are, and to let them purposely sin by the atrocities of the riches of the world. I live off $1 million a year. I can live off $1 million, me and my family. I'm making 10. So I'm going to spend $1 million a year on me and my family bills, and such as put $1 million up in the storehouse for emergency purposes. I'll take $8 million and share it with the poor. That's what they're supposed to do. Do you see them doing that? The answer is no. Or are they using the fulfillment of what God had brought them into toward the atrocities, so they can get put into the hellfire for the separation and weaving out of the good and bad roots? This is what we see, and we see it also mentioned in the book of Romans, where it states that God has, for the transgressions and what is about to go on, God has given you the word of God. So when you come into the riches and the fulfillment of what you have, share some of your material things that you're being brought into the word and grafted into this tree. Now, do we see that happen? The answer is no, because faith and grace won't just save you alone. You have to do the actions also. It states that. All right, Yeshua also spoke of you buddying up with these people and you're doing this and you're falling in line with them. What are you going to do when you become a slave and your master smites you in your face? They laughed and said, we're free. And he said, didn't Moses, brother? And they started bringing about Moses and how long ago that was and who cares, it's done, it's over with. And he said, no, because it's going to happen again. Have they ever been brought in by ships with yokes of iron around their neck? The answer is no. They have never been forgotten. The world never forgot about them, like the word stated, because it stated that the world will also forget who these people were, and we will forget who we are also because of transgressions. That has never happened. But if we go back, we see books were written about the 13 tribes, the Khazars, them during anywhere from 740 AD, where Bauer changed his name to Rothschild. He was already a big merchant and money loaner of nations and written army to the Muslims, and then how they converted over because they seen what was going on economically and politically with the Christian crusade and the Muslims, all right, and the warring and the taking over. So they converted to Judaism. Then they added in more of the Talmudic belief and added stuff onto that and Kabbalism. So now we have to understand, do they carry the personality and the characteristics of these people of old? The answer is no. Everybody should see this, because if you're of the word and you're these people, somehow in some way, even if you have forgotten and don't know who you are, you're going to carry some kind of attributes, characteristics. So let's go back to slavery, when they used to sing, go tell it on the mountain, go tell it on the mountain. Now, there ain't no mountains in no cotton field when you're sitting over there picking all that cotton and doing whatever you want to, but guess what? You're still singing that song. Why? Because in Deuteronomy and Genesis, it stated, I shall leave this as an imprint in you so you'll remember. What is the imprint? Your DNA and your chromosomes. Always carry your personality of who your ancestry is from generation to generation. So that song they would sing, just like every other song coming out of Egypt, of woe and time of need and that sorrow and mourning, happiness and rejoice. They sang that mountain because of all them years that they had to march around that mountain when the Israel and the temple came down, how in the heck they had to run back to the mountain to survive. Then it says that you will be sold into the Grecians with yokes of iron around your neck in the ships. So I would like to know what ships they were in and what did they have, because even during the Holocaust, a lot of them died off of Lyme disease. And then Hitler even had footage stating that they were the bastards, the American blacks, slave blacks were the real people, and he pointed to some of the Yemens and Palestinians and said these are Orientals. So I'm trying to get, which are Samaritans, so I'm trying to get who they are. And then when we look at the Hoplo group, even the bones and the tribes and all that stuff that were found from back in the old only matched up to what? An A91 chromosome or an E96 chromosome. Those would be found out here in America, all right, or in Nigeria. So we need to do the math on who these people are, because all the other chromosomes are all mixed in together. Now, we can say, all right, then the reason why they don't believe in Yeshua, because they know Yeshua came back for his people and the Gentiles to bring them back into one if they believe. So now we see a lot of mixing up and a lot of lies. And even though we're seeing the truth starting to come out, we see prophecy being fulfilled, that they should try in the land of Jerusalem. But it also states when the real people get back there, the land shall flourish and double the portion for every nation, race, and tongue. But it hasn't. It's dried up. They need water from Jordan. And the whole 9 yards is actually 10 times worse off than it was before they got there. All right. We see a great deceit was talked about. That is one of them right there. We see the barter and the trade and the money. Even in Romans, it speaks that the world and the Gentiles and other races and nations' tongue will be into the fulfillment of the riches of the world by the word and of the word, so they can be saved. But share the material things with these people, because they're going to be oppressed and down. Don't keep them even more depressed by the riches and the word of God and the riches of the world. But we see that happening. Why? Because there was characteristics that certain races and nations carried when it came to materialistic things, that the Lord knew once they got the word, once they had control and the money and the power, they were going to end up sinning and going to the hellfire by that same means that they desired over. So we need to look at the characteristics and the personality and the separation. This is how you can tell the real people and the bad people. And even the real people that are waking up today, they have to answer for some of the atrocities that they are, because it speaks about them waking up, and a lot of them falling back into the same line as their ancestors did and going to hell. So it's a whole well-rounded thing for everybody in this world. I just wanted to point out the characteristics and the difference of how you can tell. And even Bauer changed his name to Rothschild, which we see today. All right. So look at the conversion, who they are, and look at the dates and do your history check.